Hi, welcome to 4.1, using positive and negative numbers. So we're moving on from geometry for the moment, and we're going to start working with integers. Now before we do this, I'd like to go over some of your key words or your vocabulary words. So make sure you write these down with their definitions. Let's start with whole numbers. Whole numbers are basically counting numbers starting with 1 and they go on to infinity and beyond. So they just keep going and going and going, all right? Opposites. Now, opposites are two numbers whose sum, and sum, remember, is when we add two numbers together and what the answer is. The sum is 0. So if I have 3 here, the opposite of 3 is -3. Okay, pretty cool, huh? Now, how we know that they're opposites is that they are exactly the same distance from 0, but in different directions from 0. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 3 is 3 spaces away from 0. Okay, and if I go 1, 2, 3 in the opposite direction from 0, so instead of going to the right, I'm going to the left, I get -3. That's how I know that they're opposites. Okay, the next word, we're combining whole numbers and opposites, and we're creating the word integers. So we take the whole numbers and their opposites. Now 0 is an integer, but 0 is neither positive or negative. Okay, so it's really important to remember. Let's say that again. 0 is an integer, but it is neither positive nor negative. Okay, now the integers from -3 to 3 are shown on the number line above. So those are examples of integers. All of these are integers. Okay. Now, positive and negative numbers, all right, a number with a value greater than 0, so that's more than 0, these numbers are called positive numbers, okay, and they are to the right of 0 on the number line, okay. Now, if we have a vertical number line, the positive numbers are always above 0, okay. Now, negative numbers. A negative number has a value that's less than 0, so we're going to find it to the left of 0 on a horizontal number line or below 0 on a vertical number line. So these are our negatives and these are our positive numbers. And it's all in relationship to 0. Okay? All right, let's take this to the next step and let's practice a little bit. So I thought it would be really fun if we use kind of a real world example, and we're going to use a Jeopardy board, a scoreboard, to practice positive and negative numbers. All right, so here's the Jeopardy board, and our contestants today are Stan, Ruby, and Atticus. Now, when a contestant answers a question correctly, they get a positive number. If they answer the question incorrectly, they get a negative number. So that's really important for us to remember, and we'll get started. All right? So here we have Stan. Stan goes first, and he answers classic TV for 800, and he gets it correct. All right. Then Ruby answers the planet Earth for $600, and she gets it correct. Okay, Atticus goes next. Now he answers the 80s for $800, and he doesn't get it correct. All right, bummer, dude. All right, now Stan answers, all right, Stan gets the next turn. Now he answers poetry for 600, answers incorrectly. Aw, bummer. Okay, Ruby gets another turn, and she answers world literature for 800, and she answers it correctly. Good job, Ruby. Okay, then Atticus gets another turn. He answers movie quotes for 200 and he answers them correctly. Then Stan gets a final turn. He goes for movie quotes as well and he answers movie quotes for 400 and gets that correct. Way to go, Stan. Then Ruby takes her final turn and she goes for world literature and she answers the $400 answer, but she answers it incorrectly. Oh, Ruby, sorry about that. Okay, then Atticus is our final contestant to answer for our example, and he answers the 80s for 200, and he answers it incorrectly. Buzz. All right, let's see how our contestants are doing so far. Okay, so let's take this information that we've collected and let's put it in a table. Now, we know that Stan has answered the first question for $800 correctly, so we wrote it as a positive number. The next answer that he finished, he answered it incorrectly, so we're going to put a minus $600 here. And Stan's final answer, he answered correctly, and he gets a positive $400. Okay, let's review how Ruby did. All right, Ruby answered her first question correctly and received $600. Her second question, she answered correctly for $800, but her final question, she answered incorrectly, so we're going to put a minus $400 there. All right, let's review how Atticus did. All right, Atticus' first question, he got incorrect, so we got a minus 800 here. The second question, Atticus got correct, and we put a plus 200 here. All right, and his final question, unfortunately, he also got incorrect, and so we're putting a minus $200 here. All right, so now we can, by using a table, we can see how our contestants have done question by question by question. Now, let's write their scores in a number sentence and find out what their scores are, their total scores are. Okay, so Stan, we have 800, minus 600, and $400, okay? So I'm gonna put a 0 here at my number line, and I'm gonna pretend that each one of these is these lines are $200. So here's $200, there's $400 down here, and we have $600, okay? And then we have minus $200, we have minus $400, and we have minus $600, and we have a minus $800 up here, okay? That'll help us get going, okay? Sorry, it's messy. All right, so next, what we're going to do is we're going to use the number line to help us figure this out. So we're going to start with Stan's, and we're going to start at 800, okay? So this is where we're starting with Stan. Here's 800. Now, when we have a negative, we're going to go to the left, okay? So there's 200, 400, and 600, okay? So this is where we started. Our second score landed us with Stan at 200. Now, he has a positive 400, so we're going to move right back to the right, okay? So we're going to start here at 200, and then 400. So there's 200, so that gets us to 400, and then 200 more gets us to 600. So Stan's final score is $600. So remember, we're moving to the right if it's positive, and we move to the left if it's negative, okay? All right, let's go and give this a go again. Okay, now let's look and see how Ruby did. Now, Ruby's first question, she got correct, and so we're gonna start at her $600. So we're gonna start right here for Ruby, okay? Now, she got another 800. So we're going to have to add some numbers here to our number line. Good going, Ruby. So here's 200, 400, 600, and 800 since we're counting by 200s. So we end up at $1,400 for Ruby. Way to go, Ruby. So this is our second landing place. This is where we started at 600. She added 800. Okay, now Ruby's last question she got incorrect. And so we need to deduct 400. Now remember, when we do negative numbers, we're going to move to the left. So we start here at 14, and we're going to go 2, 4. Okay, so that means that Ruby's score right now is $1,000. Way to go, Ruby. Okay, now let's look at how Atticus did. Okay, so we're going to start here with Atticus. And he started with an incorrect answer, so he's got a negative number. So we're going to go minus 800. And so this is where we're going to start with Atticus. Now, he gained $200 with his next question, so we're going to move $200 up over to the right because it's a positive number, where he was after his second score was 600. Now, unfortunately, he lost another 200 with his answer, which was incorrect. So we're going to move back. We're going to move to the left, and we end up with minus 800 again. So Atticus's score at this point of the game is minus 800. Okay? Now, I'm hoping that this will give you a good idea about how we go about looking at positive and negative numbers. Always remember that from 0 to the right are going to be your positive numbers. And so if you have a positive number, you're always going to move right. Okay. If you have negative numbers, you're always going to move to the left. Now, if you can remember these basic points, you're going to do great in this game. Okay? So remember the words we went over: whole numbers, opposites, integers, positive numbers, negative numbers, how to use a vertical number line, how to use a horizontal number line, and how to put things in order of how they come on a table, and then how to write that information in number sentences so you can find out a total. All right? I think you're going to do it. Go for it.